Yo, what's good everybody? My name is Jay Fatty. Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to continue our how to sample in FL Studio series. We've already done videos talking about how to sample in the playlist, how to sample using Fruity Slicer, and today we're going to talk about how to sample using Slicex, alright? So if you haven't checked out those other videos, click the link in the top right now to check those out. I'd appreciate it. So the song that we're going to be sampling today is Symphonette by David Fathead Newman. Some super jazz sauce, alright? So I got the song in the playlist here. I just have it pitched up 300 cents. Hopefully avoid any copyright issues. And we're going to have a similar process in this video as we had the last couple videos. We're going to get the loop out of the playlist and then throw it in Slicex. Because Slicex, Fruity Slicer, all those are infinitely easier if you already have your sample looped and you know what BPM it's on. So we're not going to go too in depth about getting the loop out of the playlist in this video because we've already talked about that in the last two ones. So once again, check those ones out if you want to get that knowledge. So I already know the first loop that I want in this song. It starts right here. So we have our first loop. Just bring this down here and mute it. And then there's another one that I want to get around 2 minutes. Alright, so I just brought it down to 82 BPM and we're going to make sure this loops right before we actually stretch it. Alright, so now that it loops, I'm actually going to consolidate it. That way we can consolidate that pitch into the waveform rather than it just be on the settings inside the audio clip. We'll double click the track now and we can stretch it out. And let's bring it on stretch right there. And it should be on BPM. Let's put the metronome on and see. Alright, so now I'm going to do the same thing to the other loop. Now see, this one is a little off when we try to get it on BPM, so I'll have to actually go in here and manually edit it a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the magnet, make sure it's on none, go to the slicer by pressing C on the keyboard, and I need to slice right at these transients here and line them up with the grid. So I'll bring this back like so and just drag this. Hopefully that will line most of it up pretty decently. See over here we got a little bit that needs to be lined up. On BPM for the most part. Over here we'll probably just do something like this. Let's go back to line, slice out that bit, and we'll just have this repeat twice. See how that sounds. You can double click it and put it on generic bleeding to hopefully mitigate any clicks and pop. Alright, so now that we got our loops here, we're actually going to group them together because we want them in one waveform and just throw it in Slicex. So I'll just put them right next to each other like that, then do Control left click to highlight them and do a Control G. That will consolidate it into one waveform like so. Alright, and now this is on BPM. Everything should be good. We can double click it, right click, and do open in new Slicex channel. The first thing we're going to do is go to the marker here and do delete to delete all the markers. Then we'll click it again and go to auto slicing, medium grid slicing. Alright, now starting at C5 on your MIDI keyboard, and going up, all of your slices will be routed to your keyboard so you can chop and mess around and get a new groove. So I already like that. That was already sauce right there. So let's actually go into the Slicex real quick and choose auto dump. Turn that off. Otherwise, it'll auto dump all these chops in here and it gets annoying. So we'll just cut those chops, and starting down here, we'll just kind of do what we just did on the MIDI keyboard. I'm also going to go into the Slicex, go over to the cogwheel here, go to the wrench, and bring the volume up. All right, so we do got a nice loop here, but if you listen, it does have clicks and pop. Fix that. We're going to go back into the Slicex, make sure all of the chops are highlighted. So zoom all the way out and do a Control A to highlight all of the chops. If you go over to the tools, which is this wrench icon, you can go over to perfect all regions and it'll just make all of it right so it doesn't click and pop. Now if we listen, very minimal ones, but nowhere near as bad as it was. What we can also do is we go into the articulator tab here. We can turn on a filter. We got low pass, band stop, high pass, and you can do single, double, triple filter, and then you got your envelope, cutoff, and resonance knobs right here. Now, if you hover over things, you can see what it is at the top left here. It'll tell you this is the hint panel. This is for anything in FL Studio, by the way. Hover over anything and it'll tell you what it is. Now, let's put on a low pass. Let's turn it on a single filter and just mess with these settings here. So that sounds pretty dope. So let's continue getting some chops here. So inside Slicex, you have so many options to mess with individual slices. So we have everything highlighted, but if I just click on, if we double click, for example, to get rid of the highlight and just click on a marker, double click on a marker, it will highlight it and it will pull up the region settings right here. If you click this, you can actually choose all of your different markers as well. So, you know, starting from 1 to however many you have, we have 32 different markers here. And we can do all sorts of different stuff like pan it, mess with the filter, the speed, delay. For example, this first chop here, say I wanted it to kind of have a filter effect to it. What I could do is I can mess with the filter, bring it to the left a little bit. If we listen, hear how that first chop was more affected than any of the other chops. And say you want a different kind of filter because it's going off of that low pass. All right, you can change which articulator group it's in. So if I want it to be an articulator group 2, and I want this to actually be a band pass, I can do that. Now when I mess with this knob, let's bring it to the right actually. Well, you got to actually make sure you turn it on. So put it on band pass and put it on single, double, or triple. We'll put it on double. See how it affects that first chop only? But we just turn it off. It won't be. Now you can do this for delay as well. The more I bring it up, the more delayed it gets. That could give you some good grooves if you mess with it. We also got panning over here. We'll just pan it to the left a little bit. Hear how it is panned. So don't be slipping on the individual settings for each marker. You can really get that sauce and spice up your sample chops. We're going to keep it simple today though. So another thing that we can do to individual chops or the whole thing, we'll do it to the whole thing or just at least see how it sounds. We're going to once again do a Control A to select all the chops, and right here there's a button. It's called the drum loop stretch fill gap / time stretch. You click that, you can mess with the pitch course, fine, mess with the filling, tail envelope. Let's just try some of these and then we can hit preview down here to hear how it sounds. Let's bring this up like 8 semitones. You hear how that drastically changes how it sounds. Maybe up 6 semitones. What if we accept that and just listen? Or chop. Sounds cool, but I don't necessarily like it, so I'll just undo it. We'll go back in there. Let's mess with some of the filling. You come down here and you mess with the transient, the tail slope, and the smooth, and you can mess with the groove more. Also the filling method here, I did pogo. It gives it some interesting sauce. So don't be sleeping on something like that. You could also fade in or fade out certain chops as well, so keep that in mind. And a cool thing is this run script option. So if we click this and do effects and let's make it old school, it's going to say bit and sample rate reduction applied on the whole sample run. So if we listen now to what we got, it does give it that old school vibe. It's a little bit too much in my opinion though, so I'll just undo that. You have other scripts in here as well though. You could put bit reduction, destructoid limiter, old school ring modulation. You can generate different things, and as well as amplify your sound if you want to bring it up louder. But I like what we got so far. It may be overwhelming looking at Slicex and hearing all these features, but the more you mess with it, the more you do stuff with it, the doper it is and the more you discover. So keep that in mind, yo. But I'd say we got a nice loop here, so let's bring it to the playlist. Consolidate it. And now we have our chops. We can go ahead and make our beat around this. So that's pretty much it for the video. I'll leave the beat making process, at least most of it, if you do want to watch that. But if this video brought you value, please leave a like, hit subscribe, and hit the little bell. I appreciate all the love and support, y'all. Let me know down in the comments what other videos you'd like me to do inside FL Studio. Really appreciate that. But yeah, enjoy the beat making process. Until next time, everybody. Peace.